showing some parallels as far as Salaki. 1 second, make sure I share the class. If you online, make sure you share the class. Share the class. Let's see. Traditions and as far as. All right, there we go. All right, no sweat. So lining up like correlations and things of that nature with scripture, Native American myth, folklore, and their traditions and things of that nature. Let me add one more thing to the computer real quick. And we'll go ahead and get started so you guys can read along with me. Let's see, here we go. There we go, Gmail. Bam. Boom. All right. So the first thing that we are going to go over, let me pull it up on the screen. There we go. Bam. 1 second. So we're going to go to the Mayan culture. Hold on. Pull it up. 1 second. Having a little bit of a technical difficulty. 1 second. And Q. Yes, 13. 1 second, y'all. Salakia. Save image as. All right, cool. All right, let me bring it up on the screen for you guys. Let's see, Native American culture. Bam. Save. All right, so we're gonna start off going to the Mayan culture. Apologize about that. You know what I'm saying? So let's jump right into it. All right, so this is from the Mayan culture. All right, this comes from a book called the Annales of the Caciques. All right, the original text and translations, notes and introductions. All right, so this book is from a Mayan royal family. Right. Half the book is written in the actual Mayan language. Other half is translated to English. So, you can correlate and research and make sure everything is as it says. Let me make sure you guys can read what I'm about to go over online. Let's see, transition, boom. All right, so before I get started, I'm going to read kind of like the preface of it. All right, so the preface, let's see, both for its historical linguistic merit, the document which is presented in this volume is one of the most important Aboriginal American literature, written by a native who had grown to adult years before the whites penetrated his ancestral home. Himself a member of the ruling family of one of the most civilized nations of the continent, intimately associated with its traditions. His works displays the language in its pure original form and also preserves the traditional history and a part of the mythology, as they were current before they were in the least affected by European influences. The translation I offer is directly from the original text. I am responsible for its errors, but I wish to acknowledge my consistent obligations to the manuscript of the version of the Abbey Basur. All right. So this book, all right, is a direct translation from the original text. I mean, it goes like line by line. All right. So let me get there with you. All right. So this is coming straight from the Mayan culture. All right. Let me get there with you real quick. Yes, they are. All right. So the Mayans are. So from the Mayans, you get some of Issachar. You get some of the Seminoles, right? But the Mayans were the ruling class of the northern kingdom on this side of the world. All right. So, all right. So I'm gonna start from the beginning. Then we arrived at the sea coast. There were gathered together the warriors of all the 7 villages at sea. A great number perished, devoured by sorrow. There is no means of passing, nor is it told of anyone who has passed the sea. Said all the warriors of the 7 villages, who can? Who will find means to pass the sea? In thee alone, my brother, in thee alone have we hope, said thee all. And we said to them, you may go on, but you may be first. Who will find the means of crossing while we are here? All of us spoke thus, and then all of them said, have pity on us, brother, since we are all stretched on the shore of the ocean without seeing our hills and plains. As soon as we're asleep, we are conquered. We the 2 oldest sons, we the chiefs and gods of the warriors of the 7 villages. O my brother, would that we had passed and could see the burdens given us by our mothers and fathers, O my brother. So they spoke, and that the time of the Quiche nation had increased. Our ancestors, Gagavis and the Zakatakua, said, we said to them, we suffer also our brothers. Let me move up so you guys can read along. All right. Also, mother, we do not live stretched out on the shore of the ocean, where we cannot see our mountains where they are, as you say. O you warriors, you people of the 7 villages, we shall pass over at once. Thus we spoke, and soon all of them rejoiced. All right, 16th part. Now there was a red tree, or a staff, which we had taken in passing from the gate of Tulane, and therefore we are called the Kichikoto people. Our son said to Gagavitz and Zakatula, the root of this our staff was pushed into the sand of the sea, and soon the sea was separated from the sand, and from this the red tree served, which we brought from Tulane. Soon the sand was as a line, and we passed out, and it became above the sea and below the sea. Then all rejoiced. They saw the sand in the sea, and many consoled together. There indeed is our hope. We must gather together on these first lands, they said. Here only can we arrange ourselves since the leaving of Tulane. All right, so what does this story sound like? So they had the leader of their people, they were fleeing, right? And he had a great red tree, or a staff. And he took the staff. They were at the border of the sea, and they were trying to cross, right? And they had their enemies to their back, and he took the staff and he drove it into the sand, and the sand split the sea. You know what I'm saying? So they could pass and escape from their enemies. What does it sound like? And what story is that? That's the story of Moses. All right. So to correlate with this, to see how close it is to the story, because this is strictly from the Mayan records from the history of their ancestors. All right, let's go to Exodus. Hold on. Boom, boom, boom. Let's see. Let's go to Exodus 14 and 9. One second. Pull it up on my phone so I can read along with you guys. All right, so this is the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 9. But the Egyptians pursued after them all the horses and the chariots of Pharaoh, but his horsemen and his army, and overtook them encamping by the sea, besides Pi-haroth, before Baal-zephon. Verse 10. And when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them, and they were sore afraid. And the children of Israel cried out unto the Lord, and they said unto Moses, because there were no gracious of the Lord, which he shall shew you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them no more again ever. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. And the Lord said unto Moses, Wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel that they go forward. But lift thou up thy rod, and stretch out thy hand over the sea, and divide it, and the children of Israel shall go on dry ground in the midst of the sea. So this is a direct correlation, you understand, to the Mayan transcripts and records. All right. So another one that we're going to do, all right, this comes from the Native Americans. Slovakia. Browse. Go sit down. All right. All right, let me bring it up large on the screen for y'all to read. One second. All right. So this next stanza that I'm reading, it comes from the Native American traditions. The book that it comes from the Myth of the North American Indians by Lewis Spencer. All right, so we're going to read the analogous creation story. Let me get there with you real quick. Boom, 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 so I can follow up on with you guys on the screen. All right, so this is the Algonquin creation myth. All right, so in many other Indian mythologies, we find the wind brooding over a primeval ocean in the form of a bird. All right, so what does that sound like? All right, so we're talking about creation. All right, so in many Native American traditions, all right, the way that their story starts off, it talks about the great spirit like a bird hovering over the ocean. No. All right, so we're talking about creation. All right, so let's go to Genesis 1 and 1. So this is the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens of the earth, and the earth was without form and void, and the darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. All right, so it lines up like directly with majority of all Native American folklore talks about a great bird hovering or representing the great spirit hovering over the ocean in the creation story. All right. In some creation myths, amphibian animals dive into the waters to bring up sufficient mud with them to form the beginning of the new earth. So that could be like, representation or symbolic of like like the cherubim, the angels, because we know the Elohim created the heavens and the earth. All right. So the angels, they try to portray them like wings and stuff like that or whatever. All right. All right. In a number of these tales, no actual act of creation is recorded, but the reconstruction of matter only. The Algonquins, Salaki, relate that their great god Makaibo, when hunting one day with wolves for dogs, was surprised to see the animals enter the Great Lake and disappear. He followed them into the waters with the object of rescuing them, but as he did, so the lake suddenly overflowed and submerged the entire earth. So what does that sound like? That sounds like what? All right, yeah, you doggone right. That sounds like the story of Noah. All right, so we're going to go to Genesis 8 and 9. All right, we're going to see how close this story is to the story of Noah. All right, let's see. Suddenly overflow. Okay, all right. Machabo dispatched a raven with directions to find a piece of earth which might serve as a nucleus for a new world. But the bird returned from its quest unsuccessful. Then the god sent an otter on like an errand, but it too failed to bring back the needful terrestrial germ. The last was a muskrat, was sent onto the same mission, and it returned with sufficient earth and able to enable Machabo to recreate the solid land. The trees had become denuded, and their branches. So the god discharged arrows at them, which provided them with new bows. After this, Machabo married the muskrat, and from the union sprang up the human race. All right. Okay, so let's go to Genesis chapter 8. Let's see where I want to start at. Genesis chapter 8, verse 6. All right. And it came to pass at the end of the 40 days that Noah opened up his window of the ark which he had made, and he sent forth a raven. The exact same thing that's going on in this Native American story of the flood. I mean, literally word for word. The first animal he sent out was a raven. All right. So, and he sent forth a raven which went forth to and fro until the waters were dried up from off the earth. And he also sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters were abated from off the face of the ground. But the dove found no rest for the sole of her foot, and returned unto him into the ark, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth. And he put forth his hand, and he took her, and he pulled her in unto him into the ark. And he stayed yet another 7 days, and again he set forth the dove out of the ark, and the dove came in to him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucketh off. And Noah knew that the waters had abated from the earth. And he stayed yet another 7 days, and sent forth a dove, and which returned not again unto him any more. And it came to pass, and so this is showing you the correlations between the different creation stories. All right. So this lets you know. All right. So we have from the Mayan records, right, a story that's almost exactly like the story of Moses crossing the Red Sea. You know what I'm saying? With his enemies to his back, and he's coming to rescue his people. and he has a staff made of wood to use to drive into the sand to split the sea. All right. So, and then now we going into the Algonquin Native Americans. They have a story that almost resembles exactly the story of Noah. All right. Okay. So now we're gonna go to the next creation story. Scroll down so you guys will be able to see it. All right. Transition. All right. So this is from the Muskogee creation story, or the Muskogee, which are the Creek Native Americans. All right. So the Muskogee Indians believe that in the beginning, the primeval waste of the waters was alone, was visible over the dreary expanse of two pigeons or doves flew hither and thither in the course of time observed of a single blade of grass sprung above the surface. The solid earth followed gradually, and the terrestrial sphere took its present shape. A great hill of the Nuan Canal arose in the midst, and the center of this was a house or the deity of Isugu Amisi, the master of breath. He took the clay which surrounded his abode, and from it molded the first men. And as the waters still covered the earth, he compiled and built a great wall upon it to dry the folk that he had made, and gradually the soft mud became and transferred into bones and flesh. All right, and Isupk was successful in directing the waters into the proper channel and reserving the dry land for man he had created. All right, so key word, master of breath. All right, what does this sound like? Adam, right? And the creation story. All right, so for correlation of that, let's go to Genesis chapter 2, verse 8. All right, so this is strictly from the Native American records, the Mayan records. All right. All right, so this is Genesis chapter 2, verse 8. And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man who he had formed. And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant in his sight and good for food, and the tree in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge, and the tree of good and evil. Salakia. Passed it up. All right, so Salakia, I'm going to start at Genesis chapter 2, verse 6. Salakia. But there went up a mist from the earth, and watered the whole face of the ground. So that lines up straight with when it said, and the Muskogee Indians believe that in the beginning, the primeval waste of waters alone was visible over the dreary expansion of the two pigeons of doves that flew hither and thither. All right. So verse 7, and the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And the Lord God planted a garden eastward of Eden, and he put man whom he had formed. So now we're starting to see that the Native Americans, the Mayans, their stories of creation correlate in the story of their ancestors, or tales of their ancestors, line directly up with the Bible. All right. Okay. So from here, all right, we're going to go to, what's his book? James Adair's The History of the Native Americans. I'm sorry, The History of the American Indians. All right. Let's see. This is page. Boom, 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 boom. Alright, let me fix it so you guys can see it on the screen. Let's see. Go counterclockwise. The water. 1 second, y'all. Making it so you guys can see it on the screen. Alright, transition over. Alright. Let me go to the page so I can be right there with y'all. It's page 16, I believe. Yeah. Alright, so this is page 16 in James Adair's The History of the American Indians. Alright. As the Israelites were to divide into tribes and the chiefs over them, so the Indians divided themselves. Each tribe forms a little community within the nation. And as the nation hath its particular symbol, so hath each tribe the badge of which it was denominated. The second of each tribe is a necessary part of the conveyances and treaties, in which he affixes the mark of his tribe as a corporation. As the cooperation with us doth their public seal. If we go from nation to nation among them, we shall not find one who doth not lineally distinguish himself by his respective family. The genealogical names which they assume are derived either from the names of those animals whereof the cherubim are said in Revelations to be compounded, or from such creatures as are most familiar to them. All right, so let's pull that scripture. That's Ezekiel, I believe. Yeah, Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 5. Let's go there. All right. Okay. So also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures. Well, I'm going to start up a little bit further. All right. Verse 4. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it. And out of the midst thereof was the color of amber, and out of the midst of the fire. So what is he looking at right here? Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 4. All right, so he says, and I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof was the color of amber, and out of the midst of the fire. So what is he looking at? What'd you say? That's correct. Chariot. All right. The greatest example that I can give you. Anybody ever seen the movie Independence Day? Right. So you remember when the UFOs they first came and they broke through the earth plane through the atmosphere. It looked like the whole sky was on fire. You understand? So Ezekiel is witnessing a chariot, a UFO, or we call them IFOs. They are identified flying objects. We know exactly what they are. You understand? So he's talking about what he's seeing. All right. Okay. So verse 5. All right. So also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. Had they the likeness of a man? So one was the likeness of a man, and every one had 4 faces. So when they came out, they looked like men, right? And all of them had 4 faces, all right? And every one had 4 wings, and their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet like the sole of a calf's foot. You know what I'm saying? So it looked like they had like ninja slippers on. You know what I'm saying? All right. And they sparkled like the color of burnished brass, And they had the hands of a man under their wings and their four sides, and they four had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went. They went everywhere straight forward. And as for the likeness of their faces, they four had the faces of a man and the face of a lion. And on the right side, they four had the face of an ox. And on the left side had them the face of an eagle. Thus were the faces, and their wings were stretched upward toward the wings of everyone, were joined one another to cover their bodies. All right. So going back to the passage in the book, all right. So it said, boom, boom, boom. The genealogical names which they assume are derived either from the names of those animals whereof the cherubim, which we just read, are said in Revelations to be compounded, or such creatures are most familiar to them. All right. So they have family names of the eagle, the panther or the tiger, which is like the face of the lion, the buffalo, which is like the face of an ox. All right. And then they have it of the things that were common to them in the area. All right. So the family of the bear, the deer, the raccoon, the tortoise, the snake, the fish, and likewise of the wind. The last, if not derived from the appearance of the divine glory as expressed as prophesied in Ezekiel. Bam, just pulled it. All right. So the Native American customs, as we've gone into, like everything they pulled from, it was from the traditions of their ancestors, like everything from their marriage rights. All right. So they had a courting phase that you had to go through, everything from the burial rights, right? You couldn't touch the dead or you would be considered unclean, right? They didn't mess with swine. They didn't touch pork. You understand? They got tricked by the white settlers because they would mingle the pork with like venison, you understand, which is deer meat, to make them eat it. You understand? They was like, oh, well, pork isn't so bad. Coincidentally, when you go to any market today, when you go get a beef sausage, what is it in? Pork casing. Beef mingled with pork to trick you into breaking the law, statutes, and commandments, or any type of sausage. It doesn't matter if it's deer, beef. Hell, they even got chicken sausage in pork casing. You understand? When you go get boudin, you know what I'm saying? How you gonna have rice, vegetables, and beef? You know what I'm saying? Saying, man, it's good for you, man, but you got it in pork casing. You know what I'm saying? So, but everything the Native Americans did, they did it in line with the culture of their ancestors, which we're going to further go out and bring out in this book. All right?
They did that so much that it was like, even with their hair, like, everybody is not allowed to touch your hair or to do your hair, or you're not allowed to cut it already, but everybody, like, you can only get your hair done probably by like your parents and grandparents,
Right.
something like that. Everybody's not allowed to touch the crown of your head.
Right, because the crown of your head was sacred, right? And we're gonna get into that, like their high priests and things of that nature. All right. So let me go to the next page. Can I take a picture of this page for them? Just double check. Bear with me, y'all. Boom, boom, boom. No, I didn't. All right, so I'll just read it. All right. So this is on page 18. All right, so the Cherokee Indians have pointed proverbial expressions to the same effect. The Sawana Nahoroa, or the great hawk, is at home. However, it is a very rare thing to find any of them of a narrow temper. And though they do not keep promiscuous common stock, yet it is to the very same effect for every one of his own family or tribe. And when one of them speaking to either of the individuals or the habitations of any of his tribe, he says, he is of my house. You understand? Or It is my house, which is one of the statements that we say, Dam Hadam Shalayah. He is blood of my blood, flesh of my flesh. He is of my house. Right? Okay? All right. The mighty men of the tribe of Judah, as well as his own particular family, exclusive to the aggregate body of Israel. So when the Indians or Native Americans are traveling in their own country, they inquire for a house of their own tribe. And if there be any, they go to it and are kindly received. So what does it sound like? Don't try and think too hard. Just think about yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like when you go out of town, right? So when you go out of town, or before you go out of town, when you was younger, you would call your mama, and what's the first thing you would ask her? Let's say you going to, like, you about to go to Louisiana, right? So you hit your mom, hey mom, I'm about to go to Louisiana. You gonna ask her what? We got any family out there? You understand? So before you would go pay for a hotel, you rather do what? Stay with family. You know what I'm saying? For free. You know what I'm saying? And then they gonna treat you. I mean, even if they ain't never, even if they, like, how old are you, Kudak? You 33. So even if they ain't seen you since you was 5, right? Basically, a stranger come up to him and say, hey, I'm Kudak, you know what I'm saying? Your nephew, man, you know what I'm saying? You remember me, man? You know, knee high from tree high. He's like, man, you big, man. I don't really know who you are, but your family, come on. You know what I'm saying? That's our culture. You know what I'm saying? This lets you know that this is our people. All right? Because hospitality is monumental amongst blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You know what I'm saying? Native Americans say, mi casa es su casa. My house is your house. You understand? Because they want, treat others as you want to be treated. So when you go somewhere, you want somebody to treat you like with open invitation, with open arms, like this is my house and it's your house because we are family. All right? So it says, when the Indians are traveling in their own country, they inquire of a house of their own tribe. And if there be any, they go to it and are kindly received. They never saw like I said, though they never saw the person before, they eat, drink, regale themselves with as much freedom as at their own tables, which is the solid ground covered with bear skin. I mean, hell, they was fly back then. Go ahead, sis.
It's kind of like Passover too. Like you don't know everybody there, but like you
Mm-hmm.
might be friends with them on Facebook. You always
Mm-hmm.
interact, and then whenever you go to Passover, you see them for the first time ever,
Right.
and it's like it's just a big old thing.
I mean, we could take it a step lower, like when you go to cookouts,
Yeah,
right?
the barbecue.
Yeah, the barbecues that we have. You know what I'm saying? Brothers and sisters come from all over, you know what I'm saying, to basically this tribe. You know what I'm saying? And first thing they're gonna ask, you know, are any brothers and sisters able to house any brothers and sisters in that region? You know what I'm saying? Because they would much rather save money, you know what I'm saying, from getting a hotel, getting a rental car, if they can just stay with a brother or a sister, because they gonna know they're gonna be going to all the events anyway. You know what I'm saying? And when we go out, it's better to go out with someone that's familiar with the terrain than you going out here and trying to mingle by yourself. You know what I'm saying? And find yourself on the wrong side of town and getting hurt. You understand? I mean, an old saying that I was taught, you never go somewhere and act like you from there. You know what I'm saying? You always go with a guide. You know what I'm saying? I.e., namely your people. You understand? All right? It is their usual custom to carry nothing along with them in their journeys, but a looking glass, red paint hung on their back, their gun and shot pouch, a bow and quiver full of braided arrows, and frequently both gun and bow. And as they are generally in a state of war against each other, they are obliged as soon and able to carry those arms for defense. All right. So I mean, that's just like us. I mean, most people when they travel, I mean, they really don't travel with nothing more than a carry on. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to be lugged down with all that luggage. Slack you. I mean, as Sis said, unless you're a black woman, I'm pretty sure they go for Isupk, You know what I'm saying? That go for all the 12 tribes. You know what I'm saying? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American women. You know, they always bring more than they need. You know, a brother's like, man, shoot, I just, bring me a couple of shirts and a couple of pair of pants in a toiletry bag. Hell, he probably dang on there put all the thing he need in the backpack. I done done it before for sure. You understand? All right.
I say I need a first aid kit, something small that we done packed it like it's in the
You
bag.
know what I'm saying? You like just need the brothers just need the essentials. You know what I'm saying? All right. So every town has a state house, a Sanhedrin, as the Jewish Sanhedrin, where almost every night the head men convene about the public business of the townspeople to feast, sing, dance, rejoice in the divine presence, as will fully be described hereafter. And if the stranger calls there, he is treated with the greatest civility and hearty kindness. He is sure, Slakia, to find plenty of their simple home fare and large cane bedded covered with softened skins of bears and buffaloes and to sleep on. All right. So they rolling out the red carpet. You know what I'm saying? They ain't just giving them, like a little blanket. You know what I'm saying? They pulling out the fine comforter set. You know what I'm saying? The fine linen, the satin pillows for the sisters, so they don't mess up their hair. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? Getting the goose down. You know what I'm talking about? You feel me? All right. Where else at? Okay. But when the lineage is known to the people by a stated custom, they are slow in greeting one another. His relation, if he has any there, addresses him in a familiar way, invites him home, and treats him as a kinsman. So basically, like if I go to greet you, you know what I'm saying? I'd be like, Shalom, how about Shashab? You know what I'm saying? They be like, hello. Oh, you not my kinsman. You know what I'm saying? So they had a way of greeting to test you if you're of my tribe, if you're of my family. You know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty sure they had a salute, a dap, you know what I'm saying, a handshake, something. You feel me? To let you know that you're from my tribe, you're my kinsman. And once you pass that test, because Native Americans, just like black people, just like Hispanics, you know what I'm saying, they're very superstitious people. You know what I'm saying? And they're very standoffish. They're not just so openly and quick to welcome you. Like, you be like, what's up? You be like, what's up? Like, do I know you? You know what I'm saying? You feel me? You know what I'm saying? So, and this further lets you know that this is your people. Like, they act like you. They talk like you. They move like you.
I
You
think
understand? What'd you say, sis?
I think it's because we be putting too much trust. We put trust in the white man, and it destroy
No,
everything.
I mean, it's not even that. So it's like prime example, like your household. You know what I'm saying? So you got young Shakar that's is supposed to be here any day, right? So imagine you at home and not come at the door. You understand? Aron, he go to the door. You understand? He, if anybody know Aron, you know what I'm saying? He's a light bearer. And he's strong as a mountain. So he gonna have that thing on his hip when he go to the door, because he got his wife and his child here. You know what I'm saying? Who sent you? You understand? That's I mean that's the kind I say that all the time, but I be saying that that's a twofold question. Like when I ask somebody, I be like, "Who sent you?" I'm not just talking about uh who sent you over to my house. I'm also talking to that spirit that's inside of them. You know what I'm saying? And if they don't hit me with the greeting with the holy kids, you know what I'm saying, the Shalom Yahweh or the Shalom Yahweh Shema Tabashim Yahweh, you're not my people. Who are you? You know what I'm saying? Why are you here? What is your business here? Move along. You know what I'm saying? That's when you met with the aggression. All right? Okay? So we're going to go on to the next part. All right. What's this? Page 88. Okay. Browse. All right, let me go there with y'all. Boom, 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 boom. All right. So this is page 88 of the history of the American Indians. All right. The Mosaic ceremonial institutions are acknowledged by our best writers to represent the Messiah under various types of shadows. In a like manner, the religious customs of the American Indians seem to typify the same. According to my early divine promise that the seed of the woman should bruise the head of the serpent, and it should bruise his heel, the Levitical high priest wore a breastplate, which was called a hasakim, and on it was the Urim and the Thummim, signifying the lights and imperfections, for they are the plural, the awar in the Hebrew, which inverted makes the aurora, and the Thorah, all right, which is the Hebrew names for the Urim and the Thummim. All right, the law, as it directed them under dark shadows to the Messiah, the lamp of the light and perfection. All right, so we're gonna start talking about the Native American priests in context to the Levitical priesthood and how the things that they did lined up. All right. Okay. Where was I at? Boom, 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 boom. All right. All right. The law, as it directed them under dark shadows to the Messiah, the lamp of light and perfection, in resemblance of this sacred pictorial or breastplate. The American Archimagus wears a breastplate made of white conch shell with two holes bored in the middle of it. Through it, he puts the end of the otter skin strap and fastens a buckhorn, a white button on the outside of it, as it imitates the precious stone of Urim, which miraculously blazing from the high priest's breastplate. The unerring words of the divine oracle instead of the plate of gold, which the Levite wore on his forehead, bearing the words Quadash Laya Yahweh. All right, which means separate to God. All right, let me put the next page up so you guys can read along. Boom, 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 boom. All right, Shalakia. All right, so I'm at the top. All right, well, let me go back so I can read the footnote on the other page. I think I captured it. Yeah, I did. All right. All right, so I'm gonna go to the footnote. You can kind of see some of it at the bottom. All right. When the high priest entered the holiest on the day of the exceptional, he clothed himself in white. And when he finished that day's service, he laid aside those clothes and left them in the tabernacle. Leviticus 23. When the Egyptian priests went into worship in the temples, they wore shoes of white parchment. All right. So it's going into further detail of what it's about to bring out on the next page. All right, let me put that up on the screen. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. Let me scroll it down so you guys can read along. All right, page 89. All right, where was I at? Which the Levite wore on his forehead, bearing the words Quadash Laya Yahweh, holy or separate to God. The Indian wears around his temples either a wreath of swan's feathers, all right, which is white. So we just read And we're going to read, because I'm going to go to actual Leviticus, where it talks about the priestly garment. All right. So they adorned themselves in a priestly robe of linen or of white clothing. All right. So anybody knows what color are a swan's feathers? White. All right. So the Indian wears around his temples either a wreath of swan's feathers or a long piece of swan skin. All right. Double. Double so as only the fine snowy feathers appeared on each side, and in likeness of the tiara of the former. The latter wears on the crown of his head a tuft of white feathers, which they call a yatira. All right. He likewise fastens the tuft of blunted wild turkey cockspurs towards his toes of the upper part of the macanes, as if in resemblance to the 72 bells which the Levitical high priest wore on his coat of blue. Those are the strong religious and pontifical emblems as any old Hebrew could have well chosen or retained under the like circumstance of the time and place. All right. So let's go to the scriptures. All right. Let's go to. Boom, 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 boom. All right, no sweat, brother. Shalom, Lord in Christ. Be safe. All right. All right, so let's go to Exodus chapter 28. We're going to start, well, just so you know what's going on, I'll start at verse 1. And take thou unto thee Aaron thy brother and his sons with him from among the children of Israel, that he may minister unto me in a priest office, even Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, Ithamar, and Ithamar, Aaron's son. All right, drop down to verse 4. And these are the garments which they shall make: a breastplate, and an ephod, and a robe. All right, hold on 1 second. All right, so if you don't know what an ephod is, it's an ornamented vest. All right, okay, so a breastplate, an ephod, and a robe, and a broidered coat, a mitri. All right, so we all know what a mitri is, right? So a mitri is what they cover their head with, is what we wear, right? So everything that they wore was white. All right, and a girdle, and they shall make holy garments from Aaron thy brother and his son, and he may minister unto me in the priest's office. All right, so an ephod is a ornamental vest. So I mean, best way I can tell you is it's the outward garment. All right, so you know how when they wear their garments for Passover, so they have the undergarment, which like the shirt and stuff like that or whatever. Then they have the outer garment. All right, which is the fancy where they have bear fur on it or leather, but in this case it's fine linen with blue and gold. All right, and that's the ephod. That's the outer garment that they will put on. That's the part of the priestly garment. All right, okay, all right. So let's drop down to verse 30. All right, and thou shalt put in the breastplate of judgment the Urim and the Thummim, and they shall be upon Aaron's heart, and they and Anslaki, when he goeth in before the Lord, and Aaron shall bear of the judgment of the children of Israel upon his heart before the Lord continually. Verse 33, and beneath upon the hem thou shalt make palm pomegranates of blue and purple, and of scarlet round about the hem thereof, and bells of gold between them round about. So that's what it was talking about. No sweat. So the Native Americans, they did their best because they weren't in their land. So for the time in the area that they're in, they had to use what they had, and what they had, and from what James Adair, because James Adair, he lived among the Native Americans for 40 years. So he lived among the Chickasaw, the Choctaw, the Muskogee, the Cherokee. I'm missing one. I think I'm missing two, right? So, and he observed them. He's like, they were very holy people, and he knew that they were the children of Israel, the lost 10 tribes, right? So, in the land in which they were, they used what they had to keep the customs of their ancestors, right? So, in here, they had turkey cockspurs towards the toes of their garment to represent the bells they were supposed to have. So when they walk, you hear the jingle, you know what I'm saying, of the priestly garment. All right, okay. So reading on, back in the history of the American Indians, those are strong religious pontifical emblems, as any old Hebrew could have, well chosen or retained under like circumstances of the time and place. Like I said, thus appears the Indian Archimagus, not as the Mirabu Begadim, the man with many clothes, as they called the high priest of the second temple, but with clothes proper to himself, when he is to officiate in his pontifical function to the annual expiation of sins, as religion is the touchstone of every nation of people, as these Indians cannot be supposed to have been deluded out of theirs, separated from the rest of the world for many long forgotten ages. The traces of the traces which may be discerned among them will help corroborate the other arguments concerning their origin. All right. So, reading on, and move it up a little bit. Just gonna read this little bit of this next paragraph. All right. So, these religious beloved men are also supposed to be in great favor with the deity. You know what I'm saying? Is their high priest. You know what I'm saying? They're close to the Most High. They do the offerings. You understand? They do the sacrifices. They also carry out the judgments and the punishments. All right, and able to pronounce rain when they please. In this respect, also, we shall observe the great conformity to the practice of the Jews. The Hebrew records inform us that in the moon of Abib or Nisan, they prayed for the spring or latter rain to be seasoned and sufficient as to give them a good harvest. And the Indian Americans have a tradition that their forefathers sought for and obtained such seasonable rains as gave them plentiful crops, and they now seek them in a manner of agreeable to the shadow of this tradition. When the ground is parched, their rain markers, as they are commonly termed, are to mediate for the beloved red people with the bountiful Holy Spirit of fire. But their old cunning prophets are not fond of entering. Are not fond of entering on the religious duty, and avoid as long as they possibly can till the murmurs of the people force to the sacred attempt for the security of their own lives. I mean, it almost sounds like what Moses did. It's like Moses, I mean, he wouldn't do nothing until like the people grumbled. You know what I'm saying? Like when they were out in the wilderness, they were saying they were hungry. You know what I'm saying? They was like, "Did you bring us out here to die?" So Moses, he's like, "Look, Lord, I'm tired of these niggas. I'm tired of these niggas complaining." So he cried unto the Lord. The Lord gave him manna, right? So manna was bread from heaven. So they got tired of eating manna. You know what I'm saying? They complained unto Moses, and it vexed the Lord. He's like, these niggas is ungrateful. You know what I'm saying? You could be out here starving, but I'm giving you bread. He's like, no sweat. He gave them quail, which is a bird. You know what I'm saying? He said y'all gonna eat quail till it comes out of your ears and your nostrils. You understand? So that's another lesson. You know what I'm saying? Be careful what you ask for. Understand? Real talk. You know what I'm saying? You ask the Lord for something better. And the Lord trying to give you what you actually need. You know what I'm saying? You talking to him about what you want. You understand? Be careful about that. Because the Lord will give it to you. It ain't gonna be what you think it is. Believe you me. Alright? Right. I mean, and we right on topic, you know what I'm saying, talking about punishments. You understand? Alright. So this is page 153 of the History of the American Indians. All right, 153. We're gonna go 153 to 155. All right. Many other Indian punishments resemble those of the Jews. Whosoever attentively views the features of the Indians in his eye and reflects on his fickle, obstinate, and cruel disposition will naturally think of the Jews. All right, let me go to the next page. Let me bring it down so y'all can read along. All right, page 154 of the History of the American Indians. English America feelingly knows that that partly of the temper of their neighboring Indians with that of the Hebrew nation. The Israelites would cut off hands and feet of murderers in 2 Samuel. Let's go to what they talking about. That's King David. I know that story very well. Let's see. Let's go to 2 Samuel. I might have it saved. Let me see if I got it saved on my phone. Let's see. Let's see. 2 Samuel. Was it in this one or was it in the other one? I think it's in this one. Hold on 1 second. Yep, 2 Samuel 4 and 11. All right. Yeah, this story dealing with King David. I'll start at all right, I'm gonna start at verse 6. All right, and they came thither into the midst of the house as though they would have fetched wheat, and they smote him under the fifth rib, and Rechab and Baanah his brother escaped. For when they came into house, he lay on his bed in his bedchamber, and they smote him and slew him and beheaded him and took his head and gat them away through the plain all the night. And they brought the head. Let me back up some. I'm just gonna start at verse 1. This is the book of 2 Samuel chapter 4 verse 1. And when Saul's son heard that Abner was dead in Hebron, his hands were feeble, and all the Israelites were troubled. And Saul's sons had two men that were captains of the band. The name of one was Benah, and the name of the other was Rechab, the sons of Rimmon and the Rimmon a Beerothite of the children of Benjamin, and Baroth also, who reckoned to Benjamin. And the Beerothites fled to Gideon and were sojourners there until this day. And Jonathan, Saul's son, had a son that was lame of his feet. He was 5 years old, and when the tidings came of Saul and Jonathan out of Jezreel, and his nurse took him up and fled. And it came to pass, as she made haste to flee, that he fell and became lame, and his name was Mephibosheth. And the sons of Rimmon and the Beerothite and Rechab and Benah went and came about the heat of the day to the house of Isupk, who lay on the bed at noon. And they came thither into the midst of the house, as though they had fetched wheat, and they smote him under the fifth rib. And Rechab and Benah, his brother, escaped. From when they came into the house, he lay on his bed in his bedchamber, and they smote and slew him, and beheaded him, and took his head, and gat him away through the plain all night. And they brought the head of Ishabeth unto David to Hebron, and said to the king, Behold, the head of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, thine enemy, which sought thy life. And the Lord hath avenged my lord the king this day of Saul and his seed. And David answered Rechab and Benah his brother, the sons of Rimmon the Bethite, the Beerothite, and said unto him, As the Lord liveth, who hath redeemed my soul out of all adversity, when one told me, saying, Behold, Saul is dead, thinking to have brought good tidings, I took hold of him and slew him in Ziklag, who thought I would have given him a reward for his tithing. How much more when wicked men have slain a righteous person in his own house upon his bed? Shall I not therefore require his blood of your hand, and take you away from the earth? And David commanded his young men, and they slew them, and cut off their hands and their feet, and hanged them up over the pool in Hebron. But they took the head of Ishbosheth and buried it in the sepulchre of Abner in Hebron. All right. So like we was sick with it when it came to vengeance. You understand? And we were righteous people. Like, how wicked are you to think? That's like saying, like, so you think by you betraying somebody on my behalf, you think that that's cool? You think I'm gonna be okay with that? You know what I'm saying? Because you got to think about it. If somebody will betray someone to get in your good graces, what you think they're gonna do to you? The same thing. You understand? And King David, you know what I'm saying? He had the heart of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was a man of war. He did not play that. He was extremely righteous. You understand? And Saul's son, you know what I'm saying? Saul's son wasn't the problem. You know what I'm saying? He was doing the bidding of his father. You know what I'm saying? They was cool. They was like close partners at one point in time. All right. So back to the book. The Israelites cut off hands and feet of murderers, like it said in the book. Strangled false prophets, and sometime burned, stoned, and beheaded those malefactors who were condemned by two courts of judgment. The Indians, either by defect of tradition or through greedy desire of revenge, torture their prisoners and devout captives with mixture of all of those Jewish capital punishments. They keep the original so close in their eye as they pour cold water on sufferers when they are fainting, or overcome their fury torture to refresh and enable them to undergo longer tortures. The Hebrews gave wine mixed with juice and myrrh to their tortured criminals to revive their spirits, and sometimes vinegar to prevent too great of infusion of blood, lest they should be disappointed in the gluttoning their greedy eyes with the favorite tragedy of blood, which was eminently exemplified in their insulting and treatment of Christ on the cross. All right, let me scroll up so you guys can read along with me. All right, transition that over. All right, the Indians, beyond the rest of mankind, seem in this respect to be to be actuated with the Jewish spirit. Their jeer to taunt, laugh, whoop, and rejoice at the inexpressible agonies of the unfortunate person who are under the butchering hands, which would excite pity or horror any heart but that of the Jew. When they are far from home, they keep as near as their distinguishing customs as circumstances allow them, not being able to formally cut off the heads of those they killed in war for want of proper weapons, nor able to carry them 300 or 400 miles without petrification. They cut off the skin of their heads with a flintstone or knife. So instead of cutting off their enemy's head, they would scalp them. You understand? With a dull knife. You understand? Yeah, while they was alive. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? All the way down to the white meat, to the skull. You know? Hey man, they ain't play it. As speaking of trophies of honor, and which registered them among the brave by procuring them war titles. Though now they have plenty of proper weapons, they vary not from the ancient barbarous custom of the American Aborigines, which has been too well known by many of our northern colonists, and is yet shamefully sold to South Carolina and Georgia barriers in the hateful name of scalping. Like I stated, the Indians strictly adhere more than the rest of mankind to the positive unrepealed law of Moses. He who sheddeth man's blood, by man shall blood be shed. And like the Israelites, their hearts burn vitally day and night without intermission till they shed blood for blood. All right. So let's go to that scripture. All right. Said the book's out of focus. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can fix it. All right, there you go. All right. All right, so let's go to it. All right. So the actual verse that he's talking about is Deuteronomy. I'm gonna start at Deuteronomy chapter 19. We'll start at verse 19. And this is how you know that the Native Americans are children of Israel, because they kept true to the customs. All right. So Deuteronomy 19 and 19. Then shall ye do unto him as he had thought to have done. Let me back up some. Let's see. Both men. Let's see. Let's see. All right, here we go. I'm sorry, verse 15. One man shall not rise up against a man for iniquity, uh, or for any sin. If I'm sorry, in any sin that he sinneth at the mouth of two witnesses or the mouth of three witnesses shall the matter be established. If a false witness rise up against any man to testify against him that which is wrong, then both the men between whom the controversy is shall stand before the Lord, before the priests and the judges, which shall be in those days. And the judges shall make diligently inquisition, and behold, if the witnesses be a false witness, and have testified falsely against the brother, then shall ye do unto him as he had thought to have done unto the brother. So shalt thou put the evil away from among you, and thus which remain shall hear and fear, and shall henceforth commit no more any such evil among you. And thine eye shall not pity, the life shall go for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, and foot for foot. All right. So the Native Americans did not play at all. You understand? If you messed around, y'all was working on something, you accident. It's a story in here, where two Native Americans, they were out working in the forest, and they were like trying to chop down a tree, and the axe, the head of the axe, while they were swinging and working, the head of the axe flew off the axe and hit the dude in the head and fractured his skull. It was a complete pure accident, but he required blood for blood. So they took a blunt instrument, gave it to the guy, and he cracked the dude's head. You understand? Like, they did not play whatsoever. You understand? And if you touch one of their little ones, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you kill one of their babies, they would scour the land until they found your family. You understand? Like, one of my favorite movies is like Last of the Mohicans. You know what I'm saying? And in Last of the Mohicans, it's this cat named Magua. You understand? He's from the Huron tribe, but he was captured by the Mohawks, and the Mohawks were allies with the French, who were battling against the British, right? And the head captain of the British, they called him the Gray Hair. So the head captain of the British got Magua captured by the Mohawks, and while his and killed one of his kids, and his wife, thought he was dead, and when he escaped and went back to his tribe, she had married another man. Because according to Native American custom, the only way that you can remarry is if you're a widow. You understand? So he had lost everything. He had lost his children, and he had lost his wife. So the whole movie, he's trying to get to the gray hair, the captain of the British, and once he gets to him, he said he's gonna take out his heart and tell him while he's watching his life force pump out of his body in his hand, to let him know that his children is under the knife and that his seed is wiped out forever from the face of the earth, because he wiped out Magua's seed. The Native Americans did not play at all. You understand? So so we're bringing out the customs of the Native Americans. Matter of fact, let's go. I think I have it saved on here. We'll touch on some of the marriage customs before we end class. 1 second. Go to the page 145. Oh shoot, I was right here. 145. Alright, let me pull it up on the screen for y'all. Browse. Okay, page 140. Start there. Fees and arguments. Nah, that's not the page. It's page Salakia. Yeah, page 145 and 146. All right. Okay. All right. All right, so we can go over some of their marriage traditions. All right, let me fix it so you guys can read along. Transition that. All right. So this is page 145 of the history of the American Indians. All right. So the Indians' marriages, divorces, and punishments of adultery still retain a strong likeness to Jewish laws and customs in these points. The Hebrews had sponsonalia de prieste, uh, Slakia. A considerable time was generally invented between their contract and marriage, which was what we had, which is courting. All right. So that's the area of like when you're espoused to someone. All right. The Indians observe the same custom to this day, inasmuch that it is usual for an elderly man to take a girl or sometimes a child to be his wife because she is capable of receiving good impression in that tender state. Frequently, a moon elapses after contract is made, and the value received before the bridegroom sleeps with the bride. And on the marriage day, she does not appear before her. He does not appear before her till night introduces him, and then without tapers. All right. So the same is in our custom. All right. So as you read, you would go to the father, you would require the elderly, and you would require her hand in marriage, and you have to pay a dowry, such as we do in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, after the espousal state or the courting phase. And you could not entreat her or sleep with her until that dowry is paid and fulfilled and night come upon you. You know what I'm saying? And sex is how you consummated the marriage. All right. The grandeur of the Hebrew consisted pretty much in multiplicity of their wives to attend them, and as a showy routine, as the Slakia, as the meaner sort could not well purchase one. They had a light sort of marriage suitable to their circumstance, called by the scholars Usukapio, taking the woman for present use. When they had lived together about a year, if agreeable, they parted good friends by mutual consent. The Indians also found a verity that they ridiculed the white people as a tribe of narrow-hearted and dull constituted animals for having. Let me transition the page so y'all can see that these Native Americans, you know what I'm saying, were all the way righteous. You know what I'm saying? They was ridiculing the white people. Let me fix the page. All right. So, so the Indians are also found of the verity that they ridicule white people as a tribe of narrow-hearted, dull constitutioned animals for having only one wife at a time, and being bond to live with and support her through numberless circumstances might require a contrary conduct when a young warrior cannot dress the Almandi America. He strikes up one of the two matches for a few moons, which they term Toposa Towa, and make haste marriage because it wants the usual ceremonies and durations of their other kind of marriages. So they would ridicule like the white man because the white man was only chained. He was chained to one woman. You understand? And he was narrow hearted. You understand? He could only deal with one woman when they would, just like we do in our community. You know what I'm saying? Like you have multiple wives, you have a time in the season with one wife and a time in the season for another wife. You know what I'm saying? Like you may switch off 3 days for 3 days. You know what I'm saying? Or every other day. You know what I'm saying? You at your different household. You understand? But they basically called the white man weak for only able to, or being run by a woman and only able to be in having of one wife. You know what I'm saying? Lets you know that these brothers are Israelites. You know what I'm saying? All right. The friendliest kind of marriage among the Hebrews was eating bread together. The bridegroom put a ring on the fourth finger of the bride's left hand before the two witnesses and said, "Be thou my wife according to the law of Moses," which is nowhere in the Bible. Her acceptance in silence, implying concept, confirmed her part of the marriage contract because of the rigid modesty of the Eastern women. See, there you go. When the short marriage contract read over, he took a cake of bread and broke it in two for himself and her, or otherwise he put some corn between their hands, which customs were used as strong emblems of necessity of mutual industry and concord to obtain the present future of happiness. When an Indian makes his first address to the young woman he intends to marry, she is obliged by ancient custom to sit by him till he have done eating and drinking, whether she likes or dislikes him. But afterwards, she is at her own choice whether to stay or to retire. You know what I'm saying? So, just like back then, like you ought to do as your husband desires. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter if you like it or you dislike it. You know what I'm saying? Just like how we gotta say con out of one con to somebody, you gotta say con out of one con. You understand? And the Native Americans, they were very high on honor and disrespect. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it came to their wives and their children. All right. Where was I at? All right, where we at? All right, so we're going to pause right here. We're going to pick up on this topic next week. Be aware that we have Hanukkah, the Feast of Dedication, on Wednesday. Make sure you get in contact with your camp leaders on information, where it is and things of that nature. So with that, we're going to say Amagium, which means to stand. All right. Sar, turn and face the east. We're going to say the Lord's Prayer, first in Hebrew, then in English. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Quadash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malak Taba'ah, Ratazayakah, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'aratazah, Kawah, Hayah, Bashamayim, Natalanawa, Lacham, Kal, Yuwam, Wasalaknawa, Kabawathnawa, Kasalaknawa, Kabawathnawa, Wala'ah, Tabi'ainawa, Banasai 1, Abal, Hawashai Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Wahala, Wahata Para, La Awalamium, Aman, In the English, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. So be it. Sar, turn the face to front. I'm going to give a courtesy salute to the brothers, then to the sisters. Men of Israel, Mighty Shabbat, Baji, Ra, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Brakatah, Yazmatah, Sar, turn your face to sisters. Men of Israel, Mighty Shabbat, Baji, Ra, Yahweh Shemal Thah Bashim Yahushua, Yazmatah, dismiss.